Paris, France on Monday honored the teacher beheaded near his school by a suspected Islamist radical as millions of students returned to class after a spate of attacks that have put the country on edge. School children across France observed a minute of silence at 11 o'clock am, 1000 Gamt, to remember Samuel Paty, who was killed in Conflans-Saint-Honorine, outside Paris, on October 16 just as the holiday began. Paty had shown his class a cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad for a lesson on freedom of expression, spurring an online campaign targeting him. His killing further heightened tensions as President Emmanuel Macron spearheads a campaign against Islamist radicalism. On Thursday morning, 3 people were knifed to death in a church in the southern city of Nice in another attack the government called an act of Islamist terror. School children, wearing masks because of the pandemic, stood behind their desks or in schoolyards for the minute of silence. The gesture was matched by similar minutes of silence called as a show of solidarity by the authorities in Germany and Greece. "I know your emotion after the terrorist attacks, including one in front of a school against a teacher," Macron said in a message to pupils on his Snapchat, Instagram and Facebook social media channels. "Today in class, you will pay homage to Samuel Paty. We will all think of him, you and your teachers," he said, adding, "The plan of terrorism is to manufacture hatred." Schools in France are reopening with the country at maximum terror alert, and parents have been told not to linger at school gates after dropping off their children. Prime Minister Jean Castex also traveled to Conflans-Saint-Honorine to pay his respects to Paty, alongside Education Minister Jean-Michel Blanquer. Here, Samuel Paty taught every child of the Republic to be a free citizen. For him, for our country, we will continue. It is our honor and our duty, Castex wrote on Twitter. Macron has vowed to defend the right to freedom of speech after the furore created in many Muslim countries by the republication of cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad in September by the satirical weekly Charlie Hebdo. Charlie Hebdo republished the cartoons to mark the start of the trial of suspected accomplices in the 2015 massacre of its staff by Islamist gunmen, which was delayed on Sunday for at least a week after 3 defendants tested positive for coronavirus. Following angry protests in the Muslim world over his defense of the right to publish the cartoons, Macron at the weekend gave an interview to Al Jazeera television where said he could understand that the caricatures could shock. In the latest protest against France, at least, gathered in the Bangladesh capital Dhaka, for a rally which started at its biggest mosque but was prevented from approaching the French embassy, police said. Prosecutors say Paty was beheaded by an 18-year-old Chechen man, Abdullah Kanzarov, who was spurred to act by a social media campaign by parents angry he had shown the Charlie Hebdo cartoons. He was later killed by police. The stabbing rampage in Nice is suspected to have been carried out by Brahim Asawi, a 21-year-old who arrived in Europe from Tunisia in September. He remains in serious condition in hospital after police shot him. Police have detained 6 people for questioning over the Nice attack and are attempting to ascertain if Asawi had any outside help or encouragement. France's Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin said he would travel to Tunisia and Algeria at the end of this week to discuss the fight against terror, and would also soon travel for talks in Russia. Adding to the tensions, a Greek Orthodox priest is in a serious condition after being shot by an unknown assailant armed with a sawn-off shotgun in Lyon on Saturday. However, an individual arrested over the shooting was released on Sunday, and so far the authorities have not handed the case to anti-terror prosecutors.